Today, we have a really unique presentation from someone that many of you might know as the guru of snacks, Michael Renkosiak. He has spent decades in the business in each phase of his career involving snack foods, from DSD to national distribution, from branded lines to private label, from conventional to organic. He's seen it all. He's now the director of regional promotions at KeHE. And while his degree may be in snackology, a lot of the lessons he's learned from that category apply specifically about how to take a really great, smart product, get it to move off the shelf and into consumers' carts. So let's welcome him to the stage now.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you to BevNet and Project NOSH both for the invitation to be here and have the ability to share some insights that I have gathered over my too many years in this business around the distribution side. And really to give you kind of, the title of the presentation is Distribution in Changing Times. When I first started out with this, fresh out of college, young kid with all these dreams out there, was actually working for a major retailer in the clothing goods side, installing their computer systems. Being that math and computer science major, that's where I wanted to be. Had an opportunity through a friend to get into the snack food distribution business. And I thought, food, interesting. But everybody at that time was talking about this thing that looked like a TV set called an apple. But I thought, people eat apples. I'm going to get in the food distribution business, because that's the solid place to be, because people will always eat. Problem is now today, you can order your food on an apple. So things have changed a little bit over the course of time. And again, I've been doing this for a few years, most recently with KeHE Distributors, but really built my career in a snack food distribution world, local brand in Chicago, Jay's Potato Chips, and have worked with the manufacturer side, but needing a distributor to get to the market at that as well. So through the course of that time, a lot really has changed. And how do you really, properly figure out what do you want to do with a distributor? A lot of the discussion I've heard today so far is what is the consumer going to buy? First, you have to get the product to the consumer to buy in those outlets, be it the e-commerce side, be it a reseller, be it to your neighborhood grocery store. So I'll go through a couple points here as to how we can look at what a distributor does. There's lots of ways out there that you're going to have to look around and try and understand who to choose. There's lots of local distributors. There's national players like a KeHE and another four-letter distributor that is my competitor. And they're actually all different venues to get there. Do you need to attack regionally? Do you need to attack promotionally? Do you need to have the opportunity to really spread across nationally? And oh yeah, by the way, into the food world jumped Amazon. One of the biggest headlines I think I'll say I saw in my career doing this too. So if you just really need someone to move a box from your plant to a store, that's easy. There's lots of people can do that, again, regionally or nationally. But when you really want to see the different channels you'll probably want to play in, again, be it the e-commerce side, which really is exploding right now in the food industry. I think just following up on what some of the investment capital is following too, that's one of the key things that brings it in. That marketplace has broadened drastically, really in the last 5 years. Do you need somebody who's fast and flexible? Is it something you really want to launch quickly, get in a marketplace and grow? Or are you a niche item for a region? Is it something that really belongs to a particular market? Distributors are there and can help you get there. Trying to figure out exactly which target you're going to reach is where you're going to get there. Multiple distributors may give you the chance to reach multiple areas, but at the same time, there's multiple concerns that go with it. There's multiple loads of administrative work and tracking and communications you have to do too. So again, some of the things you'll need to really definitely consider as you go through it. When you start looking at a distributor, you have to understand the fact that to get that product from when you manufacture it out to that retailer and you involve a distributor to help you do that, you have to kind of understand that there's an additional timeline involved. Not only do your retailers tend to plan out in terms of what they're doing, be it category reviews, be it promotional programs that they'll be working on, there's a time range you have to be aware of in there. And also then when you involve a distributor in that, they are there to partner to get it there for you, but at the same time there are also constraints of timelines to make sure that you can get an item set up, that you can work with their promotional plans as well. So you got to figure you're going from you to your distributor to the retailer, but at the same time, the cost that's there and the opportunity that's there is what you may have to weigh out, because your money is combined with the distributor money, which everybody says they make too much, but believe me, we don't. We work on as small a margin as the grocery world does. But also your retailer at the end too, because it's an opportunity for your retailer to potentially even buy on a very specific and varied scale that they may not be able to do through a direct warehouse they may have or however they might be purchasing the product. So when you're trying to plan this, and you really want to look at how you're executing and evaluating it, communication is a key thing, and probably I think the most undersold part of partnering with a distributor to help get your product to that retailer, to get all the advantages of everything that really has been discussed about what the consumers are looking for, is you bring a team along with it too, because most all the distributors out there have their own team that'll work to help get the product in the stores. Obviously, the more the distributor can move through a retailer, the more profitability that they see as well. So you have an opportunity really to not only work with the distributors, but in most cases in our world, on a distributor, you do have a broker out there in the marketplace somewhere that's working with you as well. And just about in all cases, the distributors and the brokers are pretty well teamed together. The role I have now really works to leverage those relationships out there on behalf of the vendors whose products we supply. So there's a lot of communication that goes back and forth, the object being to be as clear and concise and complete as you can, to make sure that the message you have behind your product is making it not necessarily to the consumer. That's the end goal, but it's making it to the retailer too. So they understand the whys behind the purchase that they're going to make on behalf of the consumers that are going to drive the purchases on their end. So when you look at it too, a lot of what's talked about, and I know Catherine and Brian kind of touched on it a bit, the promotional aspect of it. It really is a good way through a distributor where you have multiple channels. That's probably one thing you want to look at if you're trying to choose a distributor. Where can they access for you? Do they have access to that multiple outlet? Do they do big box? Are they strictly really just smaller retail? Do they have the opportunity to be a backup distributor to the major chains? Can they support through Albertsons or Publix or some of the big players that are out there? And can they do e-commerce? I think one of the lesser recognized opportunities out there when it comes to the e-commerce side is understanding that a lot of food product that Amazon sells is back-end fulfilled somewhere else, typically a distributor. They've already got that inventory. There's no investment that they would have to make on the Amazon side. Simply turn to the distributor. They can help get that product fulfilled on the back end. Even building brands can do that too. A lot of distributors have the opportunity to take a smaller brand, and really if you don't have the capability as that new and growing brand to get out to the marketplace on your own, so your direct e-commerce sales, distributors are also a partner that can help you get there as well too. So when it comes out to laying out the plans, the specific event planning, best laid plans often go astray. The communication part is where you really help that distributor help you. They need to know what your goal is in terms of trying to get either a specific marketplace, a specific segment, a specific possibly target brand that you're after in the marketplace to try and take some market share. And a lot of that can happen when you deal with, most distributors have category management teams, just like most of the retailers do. Those are the major decision makers in the chain of getting your product in. Those are the allies you'll want to have to make sure your message is going to be carried all the way through. And always understand what the timelines are there. You need to know if there's any time to make revisions. Probably the key thing, though, is the why and the when to use your investment capital to help move that product. Is it an opportunity, either thematically with a month be it something that may tie to the holiday, seasonal for the summertime, whatever it might be, as a why to do it, and also the when as well. Know what your competition is doing. Know when your distributors may be having certain programs that will help push certain categories that they work with. In my world of coming from snacks, that's probably was one of the biggest things. There always were certain programs that could either go with pallet displays, shipper displays, K-stack displays, things like that. Those are definitely the whens to take some of your extra investment capital and really go after a marketplace. Again, using that broker or that distributor as your partner. One thing to always keep in mind with a distributor, when you send your product out, you lose a little bit of contact with it. It's not like it's coming out of your own warehouse, it's moved to another one. It's really to your best benefit to make sure that you are keeping an eye on those inventory levels. Good surprises are a good thing. Sometimes when you get out there, and if you do have that communication in place, you do have a relationship between either your broker or directly with that distributor account rep, having the ability to sell some product through frequently is something you'll see as the end result of it. Most distributors will, when they do order, they operate certain warehouses, and inventory is built on a warehouse precise basis. So if you run out in one warehouse, it's not like it's going to magically appear from another one. So these are some of the things to always keep in mind as you bring that extra partner of a distributor into it. A couple things really to understand, and I think, having spoken a lot about snacks here today and high impulse purchases, those are the ones that really drive some of those unplanned purchases by the consumer when they're in the store. And that's probably the biggest thing to communicate when you do work with the distributor or the account reps, or even directly with the retailer, to make sure they understand the high impulse nature of some of the items that the snack world and the beverage world are frequently using. And a couple other things always to make sure of too is when you do add that layer of a distributor, and you're adding a layer of communication there again too, just making sure that when you've laid a plan out, it's very good to go back and verify that what you expect to be out there is indeed out in terms of your discounts in the field. Store level execution is again one of the key things you want to watch for. Distributors, obviously, in the middle there's going to be a distributor price margin in there. Double check that pricing, and don't do it when something might be coming up on promotion. Always keep an eye on it to make sure that what you anticipate as your close target retails are indeed out there. Distributor pricing runs a little different than direct pricing. If you were selling directly to that manufacturer, again, you're bringing services in, so you have to understand the price model on that as well too. Very typically on any kind of promotions with price reductions and lift, lost that one. Go over here. The better the lift, and you'll get on it. And it's the standard equation. I mean, I've seen it for years, particularly in snack foods. When you see a good price reduction with an out-of-department display, you'll typically going to see at least 4 times your lift. Again, those are things to plan for and make sure you're communicating that with your distributor rep as well too. And then watch your sales by channel too. Again, you've heard the discussion of the MULO channels, the drug channels. Each one has a characteristic I think you really should be aware of, and we see it very clearly as we go through our deals out there. Mass merchandisers, obviously they're out there, your big box stores, very sensitive to hot prices and big displays. Those are where your shoppers are already going to stock up, so expect some really high movement there. Drug channel has a very good characteristic of finding a brand loyal consumer coming in. So if they're loyal to a brand, they're probably going to be a little bit more likely to pick up something on deal for their brand, possibly not even look for a deal. They may just go in for a brand. Assortment tends to be tighter in a drug channel, but it is an opportunity that's kind of an understanding to have there. And again, with the distributor, because there's a product flow cycle, beware of the out-of-stock situations. It may take a little bit longer to recover from if you get into that situation. The distributor execution piece of it, most all distributors have all kinds of reporting suites available to use. Always make sure that what you are expecting to be shipped is being shipped. Make sure that whenever your inventory turns are going through, the replenishment works as well. and really try to immediately react to any kind of out of stocks you might see in the marketplace. Really, again, I've mentioned this a couple times, one of the key alliances to have, and most distributors, whether they're going for that standard retail outlet, be it large chain, independent retail, your corner natural food store, or even on the e-com side, most all of those have account managers. Those are the experts on those retailers that they work with. That is some really good expertise that I think is undersold as to when you bring a distributor partner in, because that's something that you may not ever really be able to develop to that extent with that many customers. The typical distributor is going to deliver to 25 to 30,000 stores every week. That's a hard reach for any one individual or any one company to get after. Leverage that key account managers for those stores too. Same thing too. If you have an opportunity to get out there on occasion to see what's being executed, that's always a good thing. Utilize, again, some of your investment capital to grow your business too. That's probably one of the best things a distributor can do. They become your sales agent. They're always incented to buy something a little extra along the way and make sure that their territories continue to grow. And I think another thing you can also get from them too is some activity photos in the marketplace. For you, for your future sell-ins, you've got a nice portfolio performance to share as well. And again, not something you can get too easily on your own. In here, I accentuated the word sale rather than sales execution. This is the part where everything you've just done comes together to make sure that you're going to get something in terms of return on your investment on it all. So if you have a sales team, if you are the sales team, if you're an up-and-coming company, that's the key and final piece. So just make sure that, like I say, earlier on I mentioned the communication part of it. That's always key to have. But pay close attention to particularly displayable product mods. As we talk about snacks and beverages, they're frequently shipped out that way. Again, you want to have more access on the floor. You want to be a showstopper in front of the consumer to really get there. And probably the last thing to be aware of on the distributor side is as you come to the end, if you have any kind of a promotional activity out there, don't run out. Don't worry too much about what a distributor is going to buy in on you, but at the same time, work with that distributor, have that relationship so you don't really have to worry so much about any kind of an oversized buy-in on it. Then, of course, at the end of it all, you want to have the opportunity to look back. What did you plan? What did you expect? What did you actually execute? And again, there are all kinds of reporting suites that are available for it. And a couple key things to always watch for. Again, as I said, distributors have the opportunity to be able to really work with you to get you into more places. That is what solidifies the stance of a distributor in a marketplace, is the number of stores that they can distribute to and really control in a marketplace. It's an operational efficiency at its very basic. But the more places they can have their truck stop within a marketplace, the more profitable it all becomes. So that is one of the goals of a distributor. We'll help you expand your distribution. Really, within promotional timeframes, it's a great time to do it. You've got an offer on the table for the retailer to begin with, potentially some overlay dollars to get placement, be it a half a case, a free case, whatever it might be. Larger retailers, you usually have to negotiate that at the top end, but a lot of your smaller independent sides, you don't have to. And then always follow up afterwards, keeping in mind that as a distributor, there is a finite number of items a distributor can carry in any given warehouse. So in the course of the year, everybody's going to review their assortment. They will make decisions on things they may need to keep or delete if they have to. But I'll just tell you from experience, if you are in contact with your key person at your distributor, more than just the once a year when you know the category review is coming up, it's very likely that they will be able to hang on to the product for you. So again, a lot of this is communication, but to kind of wrap it up a little bit, really understand that, again, as we talked about a lot here today, your need to have a consumer buy your product needs a bridge to get there. And distribution really has gone from a very limited area to a national area, and the scope that distribution can do for you really is going to cover all channels. And again, like I say, with Amazon entering the marketplace, it was kind of almost an earth-shaking feeling within our building when we got that headline that Friday morning. that changed. So keep that in mind. Lots of different ways to get to market. And I think if you get that extra 18-wheel vehicle behind you, it can help you to get more places. That's it. Thanks.